Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Best of the AFC West Podcast. It is Tuesday, October 4th. We just wrapped up Week 4. We are 25% of the way through the regular season, and we're going to talk about the Week 4 games and preview Week 5 and some other stuff as well. I'm your host, Chiefs fan Prather Silverthorn, and with me, as always, is Broncos fan Chris Crouse.
Go Broncos!
You sound really far away.
He sounded like he was running away.
All right. And Raiders fan Tyler Stevens.
Raiders!
Gross.
And Chargers supporter, somehow, Sumanth Gollapudi.
I hate that I have to finish this. Do I have to finish this one? Why am I last? It doesn't work like this.
You guys are last in the standings.
That's true.
But, well,
we could go right into the Chargers.
Yeah. So start us off with some news. We got our weekly segment, the Chargers injury report. So take it away.
All right. Well, surprisingly, not a whole lot of devastating injuries this week for us in the Chargers injury report. Numerous players did leave the game against New Orleans, and I've been told that nobody is seriously injured, which is probably the best news I could get for this disastrous week. The most notable injured players were Denzel Perryman leaving with a shoulder injury, Joe Barksdale had a foot injury, Chris Hairston with a groin injury, Orlando Franklin had a knee injury. Note that these players, 3 of those players, are linemen, offensive linemen. Does that sound familiar to anyone? Because it sure does to me. And now I'll talk about what happened that later and how that situation with the offensive line kind of devolved during the New Orleans game and kind of what to look for later on. In other brief Chargers news, one of our defensive tackles, Damian Square, who most of you don't know about, but for those of you who do, he had a very strong preseason showing this past year and was part of our roster in 2015 as well, is off this 4-game suspension. He was suspended for violating the NFL substance abuse policy for who knows what. And right now he is on the team as a roster exemption, similar to Joey Bosa a few weeks ago. So we have 54 players on our roster now, and unless I find something in the next 3 minutes that says that a corresponding move was made to get him off of the roster exemption, then we have 54 players at the time of this podcast, and that's all I got for you right now.
Awesome. Well, nice and short this week.
Yeah,
that's a nice surprise for you guys.
Really.
All right. Well, some injury news from Kansas City. Jamal Charles made his anticipated return, and he got 2 carries for 7 yards against the Steelers. We're just sort of trying to wean him back in, and to be honest, I'm a little bit surprised with our bye week this upcoming week that we didn't just wait until week 6. But we got him out there. It got him a couple touches. At the end of the game, he was interviewed, and he said that he feels good. He could have gone for 25 carries if he had to, so honestly, we need all the offensive firepower we can get, and I'll get to that later. But he's back. Oakland, prepare your butts for week 6.
Oh, God.
And some quarterback news out of Denver.
Yeah, that's right. Trevor Siemian went down with a shoulder injury, unfortunately, against the Bucs in the second quarter. I guess he sprained his shoulder. It's his non-throwing shoulder, so he's expected to be back this week. Hopefully, he's day-to-day at this point. But today he said he was feeling better than he was the previous day, and even though his shoulder is sore, and according to both him and Kubiak, he could have re-entered the game on Sunday in an emergency situation. So those are good signs. So sorry to burst the bubble of Broncos and AFC West fans, but Paxton Lynch will not be taking over the starting job, and Trevor Siemian is cemented into his position for as long as he can stay healthy. The way Lynch played from shotgun should tell you that he is not fully prepared to start in the system, because Kubiak had to kind of tailor the game for what he's been used to in college. So you can just tell right away that he's not ready to get out there and play the offense that Kubiak wants to play. So Kubiak's behind Siemian still, and he trusts him. obviously, because he's ready to let him start even after limited practice this week. So he has great faith in Simeon, and Simeon will be our starter going forward. So in the front office and coaching staff, we trust Broncos fans. Keep drinking that orange Kool-Aid. Sit back, enjoy the show.
All right. Tyler, you've got some injury news out of Oakland.
Yeah, this one's a big hit. We lost Lee Smith, tight end, really a blocking tight end for the season. Took a swing pass out of the backfield on Sunday against the Ravens, and he was tackled low, got his leg twisted on himself. And the reports initially are a lower leg fracture, and live it kind of looked like an ankle. And we're being told that it could actually be a big loss towards our rush offense just because of the fact that he's basically a sixth lineman out there. The dude's like 6'6", 280. He's huge. And he's like the leader he's like one of the offensive leaders of this team. You could see that by the fact that Derek Carr and Latavius Murray were the two that carried him off the field. Another thing is, this guy was tough. Like, he snapped the lower part of his leg right above his foot and essentially walked off the field and attempted to jog until Carr and Murray came up to help him. Like, most people would be carted off with this thing. Yeah, he's a monster, so hopefully he'll be good to go next year. We hope that maybe our run game doesn't take a big hit. And some corresponding moves. We also had linebacker Ben Heaney go down with the injury. Didn't really notice that one live, but we did sign, this is actually coming today, inside linebacker from the Redskins, I think drafted in 2010 in the 4th round, Perry Riley Jr. He's he's been on the street since the early preseason, so again, kind of not really expecting much from this at this point, but he was a starting inside linebacker for Washington from 2012 through the first 9 games of last season. He was sidelined with a broken foot in November, and the Redskins really just released him because they found another linebacker they liked in the offseason, and they didn't want to pay him the $4 million he was due this offseason. So he has 63 career starts in 79 games, 455 total tackles, 9.5 sacks, 3 interceptions, and 2 forced fumbles. And honestly, if he could make an impact in the middle of this defense, it'll be a great pickup. Honestly, the ceiling is another David Emerson type pickup, and the floor is another guy cut midway through the season. Kind of like a win-win situation. Doesn't really matter. So we'll see how this move plays out.
Awesome. Sumanth, you got something quick?
Yep, I got something. I got a quick note right here that I just found out today. Literally within the last 5 minutes, not even just today. Looks like practice squad moves were made. The Chargers waived several players. They waived defensive tackle Caleb Ewells, outside linebacker Ben Gardner, and tight end Austin Traylor to sign veteran wide receiver Kevin Norwood, linebacker Deion King, and offensive tackle Brett Boyko. This is interesting to me because I'm a big fan of Ben Gardner, and I'm not very happy that he was just waived, and I don't know what the team is thinking in that direction. But I will, I guess I'll see how that's supposed to go on and how that decision was made later on. But yeah, that was some quick notes that I just found out within the last couple of minutes.
Come on, have some faith in your front office. They've done so well.
We've all had faith in their front office.
Oh, shut up. I hate you, Tyler.
No blue Kool-Aid. No blue Kool-Aid. Man.
Tyler, I hate you.
That's what the show's all about. All right.
It's rivalry week. Let's go.
Now week 6 is rivalry
Basically,
week.
yeah.
Yeah, that's next week.
But there is a divisional game this week, though. So
We'll get to it.
I mean,
we'll get to
next
it.
week. Next week, what do the Broncos play the Chargers next
Yeah.
week?
yeah, and the Raiders play the Chiefs.
That's basically like the Chiefs' bye game this week. So I mean, you could technically say they're equal.
Dang.
Ouch.
All right, let's move on to the games.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on to the game results. The first game, the Raiders improved to 3-1 after defeating the previously 3-0 Baltimore Ravens 28-27. Tyler.
Oh yeah.
What did you see?
Well, few things to grab from this. One thing is the strength of this offensive line. We started a 4th string right tackle on Sunday against Elvis Dumerville, Chris, and Carr didn't get touched. He did have some holding calls that kind of killed a few drives, but he's a 7th round rookie guard that played right tackle against one of the premier pass rushers, and those were mostly very suspect calls anyway. Another highlight, the connection between Carr and Crabtree. I mean, if you guys have watched any sports coverage over the last week, you've seen probably Crabtree's 3 touchdowns about 8 times. I'm pretty sure this dude is loving the attention Amari Cooper's getting, and it's showing itself on the field, especially in the red zone. He has 3 touchdowns against the Ravens, and that's not really a shoddy Ravens defense, and that literally won the game in Baltimore, his second game-winning touchdown, or the first one was a 2-point conversion against the Saints. Also, on the negatives, the only really negatives I had were we were up 21-12 at one point, and the corpse of Steve Smith Sr. single-handedly marched to the end zone to bring the Ravens back in this game. And when we went up 21-12, we actually got the ball back with that point lead and went 3-and-out with the second most lackluster play call effort, an effort on the offensive side of the ball, second to only the Chiefs on Sunday night. And our offense has to learn how to keep its foot on the throttle and win the games early and not look back, because as we saw with the Atlanta game, you don't always pull out those close victories. Positives, Marquette King, can we call this guy the next Ray guy? I mean, he's like a beast. He can flip field position with ease. Honestly, he's the best coffin corner punter I've seen. And Chris, you know how this dude can literally change a game. You saw him doing it Mile High last year. Another player on the plus list from Sunday is DJ Hayden. I mean, we've been expecting to see more from him, and we've seen him more physical this season. On Sunday, we saw him finally make plays on the ball. He broke up a few passes, drove a blocker back on a screen that allowed Corey James to make a stop behind the line, and even had his hand on Flacco's last pass that Reggie Nelson rocked away from the intended receiver. So this kid has stepped up, and I hope to see him take it further, only to truly compete in this secondary as a nickel corner. Also, Khalil Mack, he's been working hard all season dealing with those uncalled holds and full Nelsons. Finally, he gets his first sack of the year against Joe Flacco on literally an effort play. Honestly, that play developed so long. I think Flacco kind of held onto the ball a little too long. They usually snowball, so watch out for him coming up, especially, like I said, this week when he plays the Chargers in that O-line. That's all, really. It was a good game. It was a close one. I'd rather have seen it be a decisive victory, though.
Just another note on the Marquette King deal. Actually, I was reading Pro Football Focus's grades for the week, and even though punters don't necessarily get grades, or at least they don't show it in the free version, Marquette King apparently did the exact opposite of Ryan Fitzpatrick 2 weeks ago and got the highest punting grade ever
since
by
they
PFF.
started recording.
Yeah, so, I mean, the numbers are staggering. The numbers they gave, I think he averaged, 51.8 yards a punt, which is actually nuts.
I think he only had 2 punts, and they punted a lot that game.
Yeah.
He only had 1 or 2 punts that were outside the 10. The other ones were inside the 20. He was killing it.
Now, I don't say this often. I don't think I've ever said this actually on this podcast, mainly because it's a young podcast. But for many years, I have been a massive fan of Marquette King, and I'm not sure why.
It's okay. It's okay to be a fan of King just because, honestly, he's a punter, so he doesn't really... Yeah.
Well, he's also a very fashionable man.
Yes. His Power Rangers onesie was literally the best athlete I've ever seen.
Man, Marquette King's a great punter. He's easily, obviously, the best punter in this division. I'd say, top 3 in the NFL. I'd be hard-pressed to find any other punters better than Marquette King at this point.
Maybe only since we lost Colquitt. Oh, come on, we got the Colquitt brothers.
We had the Colquitt brothers, right? Riley Dixon. Oh.
Those are, well, Riley Dixon has actually been playing pretty good. He played really good this last week. So we'll see. He could be the next one. Next Marquette.
Yeah, that'll definitely be a matchup to watch, the special teams battle between. That's what we're going to watch when the Raiders face the Broncos.
We're going to compare the punters.
How hard the punters. Yeah.
That's some good football.
All right. So Raiders move on to 3-1. The Chargers, on the other hand, they are down to 1-3 after giving up a win to the previously 0-3 Saints.
Yeah.
Saints won that game 35-34, and I'm sure you have a lot to talk about this week.
Yeah, I do.
After that performance.
Oh man, let me get on my soapbox here for a second and just go on about this. I said this last week. This is what I said last week against the Colts game. We couldn't finish the game. We need to execute the entire game. We need to actually come up with a win this game. We did not do that again, and we did not do it in the most unbelievable fashion I think I've ever seen. So for those of you who actually didn't see the game and don't know what happened, The Chargers were up by 13 points with 7 minutes to go in the game. They were up 34-21. We hand off. They punted it back to us. We hand off the ball. Melvin Gordon, first carry, fumbles the ball. And actually, it was not necessarily the worst fumble you could have asked for. Craig Robertson, the inside linebacker for the Saints, starting over their 2 other injured inside linebackers, mind you, had his helmet right, in Melvin Gordon's arm where the ball was. So, I mean, pretty obvious that was probably going to get fumbled no matter what. And the Saints, took the short field and scored with it. The one that baffles me even more was just Travis Benjamin's fumble on the next offensive play that we had. He caught the ball on a short route, ran 2 or 3 steps, and then just dropped it before he had contact. I don't know how to explain that one. You can't do that. You really can't. And shut up.
I know how to explain it. You don't take a Cleveland player and expect to win games.
Hey, listen, the Broncos almost traded for Joe Thomas last year. Let's calm down with that. But
the one Cleveland Brown
Joe Thomas, yeah,
make a difference somewhere.
Travis Benjamin, on the overall, in many ways, been struggling this season. He's had some good performances, and he's had his fair share of bad ones as well. But that's not the point of the conversation. It's just that he made a nonsensical fumble on that play, and that shouldn't have happened. Maybe if we threw it somewhere else, or if we ran a different play the first time before Melvin Gordon fumbles the ball, we win the game. But that's not how it worked. And there's that. And on this, Phillip Rivers also fumbled twice, but recovered both times. So we fumbled 4 times in this game, and you cannot do that at any point in time, and you cannot expect to win a game by fumbling 4 times.
So do you think this is fumble regression for Gordon?
No, I actually, if you look at LaDainian Tomlinson, let's just throw, this impossible comparison. But if you look at LaDainian, he was actually a massive fumbler his rookie year as well. I think he fumbled 8 times and only recovered maybe 2 or 3 of them.
Well, this isn't his rookie year anymore.
Not anymore, but last year he was a big fumbler as well. This year, I'm expecting him to cut it down. This is his first fumble, so if he starts to pick it up by week 8 or something, he's got 4 or 5 fumbles, then yeah, it's fumble regression. But one fumble on a well-placed hit, I'm going to say that's fumble regression.
Yeah, no, that fumble was not on Gordon at all. He was literally stripped. That was
pretty much.
He was stripped.
I'm not worried about the fumbles for Melvin Gordon, but he was pretty lackluster his rookie season, and I was willing to sort of put that on the struggles that you guys had at offensive line.
Right.
But against the Saints, he averaged less than 2 yards per carry.
Correct.
This is the same Saints team who made Devonta Freeman and Tevin Coleman look like
Gods.
Hall of Fame running backs last week.
And Jalen Richard had the homecoming of his life.
Yeah.
Literally
Well,
against the Saints.
So now that we have a
First
little
game
bit
of the
of a
season.
bigger sample size, is Melvin Gordon just not a good football player besides the touchdown vulture he's able to do?
The Falcons also had Julio Jones over the top. Chargers lost Keenan Allen.
That's correct.
So
that also
they don't
brings
have
a little more
that
pressure
threat.
to Melvin to produce. But it becomes a different argument. Part of the reason with Melvin that he struggled so much on his rookie year is not just that he was running behind a bad offensive line, and you could also attribute it to the play calling. We ran a lot of shotgun draws, and he wasn't used to that at Wisconsin. He's lining up 8 yards behind the line of scrimmage and letting the play develop. And to that point, Wisconsin runs those plays so damn often, just running 8 yards behind the line of scrimmage and letting the big offensive lineman let the play develop. That, in my experience, in my opinion, that I formulated by watching him his rookie year, I don't think he has very good ball carrier vision. I think Wisconsin actually made it in such a way that his ball carrier vision was so underdeveloped going into the NFL because he just didn't need to use it over there. He didn't need to develop it.
Yeah, that's a common theme for Wisconsin running backs.
Yeah, and that's part of why I'm saying Melvin's got this problem as well, because it seems to be prevalent with Wisconsin backs. Ronnie Hillman might have been another, or Monte Ball, actually, one of those two might have had a problem with.
Oh, yeah. Monte Ball for sure.
So answer me this. Those 2 backs taken in the first round of the draft, Melvin Gordon and Todd Gurley, you think if they switch teams, they're actually better fits and they're both more successful on those 2 teams? Because, the Rams are literally doing the same thing. The system doesn't really fit the back.
Any running back can
he's
be
playing a
successful
team with no
on
quarterback.
The Rams.
Well, the Rams don't really have good quarterback play, so you have people lining 9 in the box
the whole time. Nobody's going to succeed against that.
Yeah, but they're running out of the eye, and really Gurley isn't really doing much because he's not really the make 3 or 4 guys miss or power through it guy. He's the get the yardage where the holes come. And Gordon, I feel
Right.
like he might be able to be the guy who can
Gordon's-
make the people miss.
That's
and
right.
run
Gordon
through
physically
somebody.
has so many tangibles. He's a straight line runner. He is big, fast, physical. That's kind of his MO. If you give him a seam, like, give him a cut or two in a seam, he's gone. But the fact that he can't find the seam, or the Chargers line isn't giving him seams or what have you, is hindering his production massively. And it's really a combination of a lot of different factors. But yeah, Melvin Gordon is struggling rapidly and mightily at least in these last couple of games. The first 2 games he did great. So I think we need to, or at least I have to go back and see where the disconnect is between the teams and these ones. But that's one thing. The ground game overall had no traction. Gordon had only, like Prather said, 2 yards a carry or under that. 19 carries for 36 yards. So, not very good on that end. And at least he's scoring touchdowns, if nothing else. But let's move on to a different negative here, and let's go back to the injuries. The injuries are striking again in a way. I covered a few of the major ones. The one that concerns me the most is the offensive line injuries, or the multiple injuries that concern me the most. And I just, in the middle of the game, saw something that was extremely concerning to me. I saw a number of players switching positions, and that was a problem that we had last year. I think by the end of the game, we had our third string left in the game. And at one point, even early on in the game, Joe Barksdale, our right tackle, was moving to left tackle. DJ Fluker, our right guard, moved to right tackle. We had Spencer Pulley and I think Kenny Wiggins, our 2 reserve guards, coming into the game as well, playing for Orlando Franklin and taking over for DJ Fluker. Matt Slauson is the only player who has officially now actually stayed in the same position the whole time. And if we have to keep shuffling linemen like that, I don't care who our coaches are or how they're practicing. That's not going to help. That's not good at all. And that is a massive concern, because if they had to do that against the Saints and, give up a lot of plays against them, Nick Fairley had a good game against the Chargers, then I'm not too excited for what the Raiders, who have competent defense in the Saints, are going to do against us next week. But obviously we'll talk about
Allegedly.
that.
Allegedly more competent.
Yeah, that's not a very high bar.
No, it's. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But there's that, and my last big negative is that our punt returning is dismal, and we may need to see a change in that. Actually, another stat that I read from Pro Football Focus was, or at least from the San Diego Union Tribune actually, was that we were one of 3 teams that have not fielded a fair catch all season. I think the Lions and the Chiefs or the Raiders was one of the AFC West teams.
Oh no, we do fair catches all the time.
So it was the Chiefs then. So
Yeah, it's probably
yeah. So the Lions and Chiefs, Chargers, all 3 of those teams have not fielded a fair catch in the first 4 games this season, and Travis Benjamin has not again performed very well in terms of punt returns, and at least not to the way we had expected him when we signed him. So there is talk amongst the team, at least that was reported today, that he might be pulled from punt return duty. So there's that. All right, and I'll try to wrap up the positives really quickly because I've been spending a lot of time on this because negatives all over the place. Positives, for the most part, compared to Drew Brees, and we did the whole thing. The offense moved the ball pretty well. We had 321 yards through the air, 2 touchdowns. The interception was kind of a fluke, but still counts on the stat sheet. Defense made sense. We picked off Drew Brees 2 times, sacked him twice. Jatavis Brown active on the field all throughout the game. Led the team with 7 tackles. And as I mentioned, our pass defense did a great job with 2 interceptions, and Drew Brees only had 207 yards in the air. Their leading receiver was Mark Ingram, their running back, who is not a receiving back by any stretch of the imagination, in my opinion. Had 6 catches for 49 yards. And our run defense statistically did well overall. Gave up chunk plays, I think, still, but only allowed 83 yards on the ground. So on the overall, we do have pieces to say that we did a good job against the Saints. But those fumbles and that bad timing just murdered everything for us, and you can't win ball games like that. And the Chargers have done that times this season. So that's just going to be a theme that has to be watched going forward to see if this team can actually come out of that and win games. And now I'm off the soapbox. That's all I got.
All right. Well, Broncos moved to 4-0, still undefeated after shutting down Jameis Winston and the Buccaneers. Broncos win that game 27-7. Chris, what'd you see?
All right, well, I don't have a lot to say because it's hard to nitpick when, things are going pretty well. But I'll start with the defense, I guess. Our defense is doing amazing. Aqib Talib had a fantastic game against his former team, where he was drafted. Came out, and on the third play, he picked it, and immediately afterwards, Simeon threw a touchdown, and we were up 7-0 in the first couple minutes. And for the rest of the game, Tampa Bay had one touchdown in the first quarter, and for the rest of the game, they scored 0 points. So things were going good on defense. They started off slow like they have been, and then they were lights out. And in the third quarter, they had a total of -4 yards against us.
Jeez.
Holy crap.
Chris Harris Jr., Shaq Barrett, Von Miller, and Derek Wolfe all had really good games. And TJ Ward forced another fumble, another turnover, and so 3 turnovers for us. They had 0 turnover, or we gave them 0 turnovers, so we won the turnover battle, and I think that's going to be a key for us. And it's going to be pretty easy with our defense, but we kept them out of the end zone for most of the game, and we created turnovers. So on offense, Simeon went down early. He looked good at first. I think he was like 5 for 7, and he had a touchdown early. And overall, we struggled on third down still. 3 for 13 tries. That's pretty horrible. Yeah. And the running game really struggled. It's our offensive line. We have a lot of injuries. Ty Sembrilo was in for the injured Donald Stevenson at right tackle. And
Well, Donald Stevenson not playing for you guys is probably for the best.
well, but when he was in there, he was a lot better. Well, another problem is Sembrilo normally plays at guard, so playing at tackle might not be his strength. But really, the biggest problem, I think, was Max Garcia. He played like a revolving door at left guard, just let everything through. And
That makes me happy to hear.
yeah. Well, it's definitely one thing we're going to have to get under control. We had 5 sacks against us.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Simeon obviously got hurt on one of those.
He got thrown down.
And yeah, he landed on his. Luckily, it was his non-throwing shoulder, but Lynch also went down, I think, a couple times. I forget who got sacked more times. I think Simeon got sacked 3 times, but I can't remember. Anyway, I really liked Kubiak's decision to give Lynch some playtime because Simeon could have gone back in. He said, he was feeling okay, and I think that he probably could have gone back in, but it was a good opportunity. We were up by so much to put Lynch in there and see what he could do, and he played well.
Yeah, and you'd be talking about, like, if they put Simeon back in and then something happens to him, then you'd be talking about the fact that Kubiak was an idiot for playing Simeon after he got hurt, and you're up by freaking 20 points.
Kubiak has been brilliant with these sorts of decisions over the last 2 years. Thinking back to when Manning started throwing all those picks in that game last year, and they put Brock in, and then when Brock started not looking so great, he put Manning back in, and they went to the Super Bowl and won it. He's got a good gut for making those calls, and it's turned out really well for us. But otherwise, it's a good thing Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders seem to be in a nice groove, and that both of our quarterbacks have cannons for arms, because otherwise, things might be different than they are. Things are going good.
Yeah, Paxton Lynch might not be ready, but he's got an arm,
And
it's a good one.
Yeah, and he's a big guy.
Yeah, I'm a little jealous.
Well, maybe you can trade for one of our quarterbacks.
Is that a fantasy dig?
Oh man, yeah. Speaking of, did you hear my trade offer?
I seen it.
Wait, we need to get filled in on this. What's the trade offer?
I offered him Antonio Gates for Paxton Lynch.
Antonio Gates, he's getting old, and I think Hunter Henry has carved himself, a decent piece of the pie of the Chargers offense, and I kind of just want to see what happens with Lynch.
It's a handcuff for handcuff, Come on, man.
I'll think about it.
That is actually a smart play.
Are you doubting Alex Smith? Is that what this is about?
Well, I don't have Alex Smith in fantasy.
Oh, who do you have?
I have oh no, I do have Alex Smith.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
He's never not doubted Alex Smith.
That's That is
Yeah.
true.
Speaking of Alex Smith,
Well, yeah. Speaking of that, let's just roll right into this fun, exciting topic. So the Chiefs, they followed a 2-2 on Sunday Night Football. They get blown out by the Steelers, 43-14. We got 2 garbage time touchdowns because we were down 36-0 at one point. And to put it into, I mean, really the best description I heard was somebody in the game thread on the Chiefs subreddit said that we looked like the team that the Harlem Globetrotters play against. That was the perfect description.
Dang.
Because everybody was terrible. The offense was terrible. The defense was terrible. Cairo Santos missed a field goal, and even Dustin Colquitt, who is usually the most consistent performer on the team, he didn't have a good night. So it was just bad all the way around. And the offense, they turned the ball over twice, deep in our own territory. The first 2 drives we had, so bang bang, Steelers scored 2 touchdowns off of that, and we're down 14-0. Before the game even starts, really. So, and after that, the defense sort of plays on tilt, and we gave up a lot of big plays and made some mistakes. But the offense is just inept right now. It's awful. I don't know what we're doing. The play calling is just not where it needs to be. We're geared up to be a run-first team, but we are near the top in the league in terms of passing percentage, plays that are passes. Alex Smith is throwing the ball 50 times a game. That's not a recipe for success. And every time we run that stupid bunch formation where we have 3 receivers standing right next to each other, it's a screen 100% of the time, and the opposing defenses have figured that out.
okay, but like
I
one
don't know why
time,
we keep doing
one
it.
time you're gonna fake the screen and throw a streak, and the guy is gonna be just wide open, and Alex Smith is gonna underthrow it, and he's gonna drop it.
Well, we did try that with Tyreek Hill. We sent him on a fade route, and the cornerback must have knew it was coming because he gave him seriously like 15 yards of cushion.
Oh my!
And we didn't audible out of it. Just like, I don't know, do a curl or something, and like the guy would have. I don't know. It's just bad. Alex Smith has been a mess this season. I don't know what's going on. And, I mean, our offensive line hasn't been great, but there's 10 to 15 teams in the league that are in the exact same situation we are with offensive line. There are very few good offensive lines in the NFL right now, so I'm a little tired of hearing that excuse. Alex Smith he has not kept his eyes downfield. As soon as he feels the pressure, he starts to run, and the play breaks down, and we have no chance. So
don't we fall for this every year, though? The Chiefs do bad at the beginning, and then something happens, and then they win 10 freaking games in a row and end up in the postseason.
Well, we only fell for that last year because the Chiefs, didn't play anybody the second half of the year, and the Steelers. Andy Reid needs to take out his pen and paper and take some notes because Todd Haley showed what an actual NFL offense is supposed to look like.
Well, when you have freaking
night.
Antonio Brown, Ben Roethlisberger, and Le'Veon Bell, it's kind of hard not to show what an offense is supposed to look like.
Well, sure, but when you take shots down the field, it opens up everything else, and that's what our offense doesn't do. There's no vertical element whatsoever. The pass to Tyreek Hill that I was talking about was the only deep shot we took during the entire game, and we were down by a lot of points, by the way. We get down by over 20 points early, and we're calling screens and short throws behind the line of scrimmage. It just doesn't make any sense. I don't know.
Well, I mean, you gotta take into account the environment. You're on the road in Pittsburgh at a night game when Pittsburgh does really well, and you take your defense and you pack your run game. The defense wasn't really working, and the run game wasn't really working. I mean, at that point, the screens and every deep shot here and there was really all you could do without, honestly, just giving the ball away even more than you already did, which would cause an even worse game than it already was. So it's understandable the coach's game plan here. It just didn't work out in your favor.
Well, Spencer Ware did fumble the ball. Like, I'm sure we went into the game planning on starting to establish the ground game. But I think that was a big mistake. He fumbled. That's obviously not good. But you can't
keep
let that,
giving it to him. Yeah,
you can't let that deter you from running the ball. And the Steelers showed something that we don't do at all, which is just you get a team on the ropes, and they went for the jugular. I mean,
Yeah.
they put it away, and that's something we've really struggled with. If we were in that spot, we get up by 14 points. We're calling the most conservative offense you've ever seen, trying to run the clock. Well, the Steelers kept passing it downfield, and really put it out of reach, in the second quarter, and that's something I wish we would do, but.
Yeah, you guys are like the 2013 Broncos with John Fox.
And the 2016 Raiders with Jack Del Rio.
It feels that way, but it's not all panic. We have a bye week, so a lot of things to correct. The defense, I think, with the 2 short fields we had early, they just it got in their heads. And it was just a bad night. I'm not too worried about that, but the offense just seems broken. So at least we have a bye week. You'll have 2 weeks to prepare for the Raiders, and if our offense comes out against Oakland and looks like that, then I'm gonna reach for the panic button. But right now we're 2-2 against pretty 4 okay teams. Well, I guess 3 okay teams in the Chargers.
Hey. Oh, okay.
And then we have our next 4 games are pretty winnable. So we're not in that bad of a spot yet, but
Yeah, Jamal Charles is just dusting off his cleats.
he needs to do something, because Spencer Ware's been good, but a fumble in each of the last 3 weeks, that's definitely a cause for concern. You can't turn the ball over when we have an offense that doesn't want to go anywhere. So I'm done. I'm done talking about that game.
Dang.
All right. So,
All right, well, let's preview next week. First game, Falcons at Broncos, the Sunday late game. Chris, what are you expecting to see?
well, Julio Jones, he's back, and Devontae Freeman is still here. So they're either gonna throw it over the top or they're gonna run it, and they're gonna try and pick something. They're gonna try and find some sort of soft spot in our defense, and we're gonna see, I guess, how Wade Phillips adjusts to crush them. That's basically been the pattern lately.
I don't know.
Let me talk a little bit more about that. Wade Phillips, second half, he's amazing. But what don't you know?
I don't know.
Tell me.
Crush and Julio Jones don't really go together in a sentence.
No, if it's Julio Jones
look at his
crushing other
first-
people together.
3 weeks.
Yeah, that's literally the only time he just put up 300 yards against that
so
Panthers
I think-
defense you guys struggled against.
I'm predicting. I bet they'll come out and they'll try and run the ball, and because they're probably going to anticipate us throwing like double or triple coverage on Julio.
But he beats
and
that.
it's either going to end up getting. Oh yeah, well he could, but we have one of the best secondaries in the league, so I think we're going to be the, I guess, kryptonite to his super.
I mean, you're
But-
right. It's the immovable object versus the unstoppable force, and it could go either way though. It's not really.
It could, but I don't think that they're. I think they'll be smarter. I think it's going to give elsewhere. I think they're going to get the ball out to Jacob Tammy
Yeah, I can
and
see
their
that.
other receivers, and I think it's going to come down to them searching for a bunch of different soft spots, because they have a lot of ways to probe our defense.
Very true.
They are the number 1 offense in the league right now, so it's going to be really interesting to see how those two things come together. You're right. But I think we're going to probably have the advantage. I think our defense, as long as they keep playing like they are, they'll be able to stop Matt Ryan, and they're going to bring out the bad Matt Ryan. We've been seeing a really great Matt Ryan at the beginning of the season, but I think, the other Matt Ryan's still in there.
Just like the other Derek Carr.
That's right. And I think that we're going to probably hold them down, and hopefully if our offense can get going and get the run game going, we're going to be okay, and I think we'll be able to win.
All right. Well, can somebody else write these down? Because I don't have a pen.
Scores?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can.
Okay. Predictions, Chris. You go ahead and start it off.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and say 21-10 one more time.
Every week.
Low score?
Yeah, I typically think that we're going to be low scoring, but
You guys have proved.
keep getting
Yeah, you
surprised
guys
by
have
our
proved
receivers.
otherwise. Literally.
yeah. I always assume the worst, and then I'm only pleasantly surprised. That's the only thing I can be.
I mean, you've seen this Falcon secondary, though, right? Like, eeh.
Yeah, I think we'll be more conservative with the ball. But Simeon, he's Mr. Cool, man.
Jeez.
He makes some good decisions. I think he can, as long as he's like healthy enough. I think he'll handle it fine. We might see another pick. We'll see.
Okay.
All right. Well, I think I'm gonna go with the Broncos here. 24-21. Mainly because the home field advantage. The Falcons aren't gonna be able to pump in their crowd noise. So.
Okay.
All right. Well,
All right.
I'm gonna go with a bold prediction. I do it every week against you guys. This time we've seen 2 AFC West versus NFC South games with this score, and we're gonna see another one this week, 35-34. This time,
Phew.
the South takes it. Falcons over the Broncos.
You'll never pick
No,
us.
I never will.
He's gonna go down with that ship too. I'm
Yeah, I'm gonna.
I regret picking you guys week 1.
dang. The harsh truth. But no, I'm gonna go with a similar thing to Tyler. I think it's gonna be a high score game as well, and I think Atlanta's probably gonna come out on top in this one. It's a close game. It's gonna go either way. I'm gonna go say 34-31 Falcons.
All right.
All right. Well, we have our second divisional matchup of the year, and the first one was quite the exciting game.
Well, for one of us.
Yeah, for me anyway. We'll take all the wins we can get. The Chargers at the Raiders. I guess Sumanth, you go ahead first.
Sure. I mean, my only real thing is I'm kind of just bitter that because I go to school in Northern California, I'm just bitter I can't actually go to the game because it's expensive as hell. Because that's how these games work apparently. But this game in general, it's the most crucial game of the season as of now for the Chargers. I mean, obviously every game gets more crucial as on, but this is a must-win game. You're 1-3. You have basically squandered a 4-0 start by dropping 3 losses in the worst possible way, in ways that you should not have dropped. And right now, the way I'm seeing this Chargers team play, I don't have any confidence that they'll be able to pull that off. They will build a considerable lead, and then it won't be enough to overcome the mistakes that they'll eventually make in the second half of the fourth quarter. You've seen them already. I can't say much more else about the matchups and personnel just individually. They're really incomplete. They are missing badly their key players. They're missing Keenan, missing Danny Woodhead. They're missing Manti Te'o. They're missing these players. And even without them, they need to improve drastically late in the game as a team, the Chargers do, and in a whole lot of other facets as well. I talked about the punt returns. That's one thing. Offensive line needs to work on it. They gave up 3 sacks against New Orleans. And this is going to be the game, I think, that really starts to define whether or not define, but really start to create the basis for whether or not Mike McCoy's job is secure in San Diego. We already know that he's been on the hot seat for a while now, and this is the game I think that we start to get some clarity as to where it is. And I'm not too proud of it either because I don't want Ken Whisenhunt as an interim head coach, and I know he's going to be the interim head coach if McCoy gets canned. And I've seen him at Tennessee. He can't win there. And many Cardinals fans have talked about how they've won games in spite of him, not because of him. So I'm not excited if that's the case. But the other thing to look at is that the Chargers don't have a history of firing head coaches during the season. In fact, I read earlier today that the last time that happened was in 1998 with Kevin Gilbride.
That was a good year.
So I'm willing to believe it's not going to happen anytime soon, at least within the season, if nothing else. But if he doesn't start winning games, at least now-ish, we might see this trend start to change a little bit before Black Monday. Because if McCoy doesn't start winning, his job is in some serious danger. And I mean, unless we want to go on with other offhand points, then we can do that. Otherwise, we can just talk about the matchup predictions, and Tyler has all those going, or those personal matchups.
Well, what's your score?
Oh well, let's start with the matchups first on the Raiders and Chargers side. Then we'll go score.
Right before we do matchups, could we look at these two teams? They are the exact opposite. I mean, even think of just last week.
They are.
They go in. The Raiders are 2-1. The Chargers are 1-2. The Raiders face a 3-0 team. The Chargers face an 0-3 team. The Raiders beat it in a close matchup. by 1 point. The Chargers lose it in a close matchup by, what was it, 1 point still?
1 point. Yeah. So it's
1
not
point,
even that.
yeah.
It was literally the Raiders. Did they come back to win this game as well?
Yes.
Yeah. So there it is.
Yeah,
They,
comeback win, comeback loss.
yeah.
Like, you could go down the list, and literally the Chargers are the Elseworld Raiders, like,
Yeah.
verbatim, too. It's kind of weird. It's freaky.
It's very freaky.
Yeah, but with that being said, we can't take the Chargers lightly this week. Seeing how they match up, it may seem like an easy matchup, just because they have Jason Verrett, but I mean Casey Hayward is a great interception machine, but is he gonna like really stop a player? Also, their run defense kind of suspect. They make good plays on their D line, but we have the top offensive line in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Their offense thrives on their outside talent. They're just now starting to get their linebacker in play. Our safeties are starting to step up and take on tight ends, and our offensive corners are shutting people down. So, honestly, this is a divisional rival playing us at home, somewhere we haven't won all season. Yes, it's been one game, but we haven't won there. They're coming off a close emotional loss where they put up 34 points on the suspect defense and are facing our suspect defense. So it has all the makings of either a rout or a spoiler. So you never know how this could go. Rivers can put points up. Like I said, he knows how to do it. He finds a way, even with like a skeleton of a wide receiver core. They lack. Our defense really needs to take advantage of the holes on the Chargers' offense. Their lack of receivers, some of those injuries on the offensive line. Even if the players do play, playing injured is not exactly playing 100%.
Nope.
He finally gave up a pick. What was his first pick all
Yeah,
season?
it was the fourth down heave to BW Webb. So I mean, it counts in the stat sheet, but it's nothing that I would go about.
Was basically garbage time. Yeah. So I mean, like, we need our corners and linebackers to really help to make that snowball. And also, we want to look at the matchup with Hunter Henry and Phillip Rivers versus Carl Joseph and whoever's manning the middle, whether it's Corey James or our new pickup, Perry Riley this week. We'll see how that really works out.
Right.
Hunter Henry's actually kind of starting to turn it on. Another matchup, Amari Cooper versus Jason Verrett. Last year, the matchup to watch was Cooper versus Verrett. They split those two games, albeit the game Verrett won was when Cooper had his foot injury and basically played decoy. So we'll see. This is the true matchup. We'll see if this speedy receiver could take advantage of Verrett's one weakness, like I've been pointing out every week. The one thing he does have to his advantage is Carr throwing to him. He knows how to kind of trick a defense. He's learned that from playing the Broncos twice a year. Crabtree on the other side. So if the Cooper-Verrett matchup doesn't work out in our favor, one of the many other matchups we do have is Crabtree versus Casey Hayward. Hayward has been a surprise this year. I've pretty much watched almost every Charger game. I didn't watch the Jaguars one, and that's the one they ran away with. But Crabtree has been on another level lately, so that might be the actual match to watch this week. Last thing, we talked about the injuries to the Chargers offensive line, and we talked about Khalil Mack's first sack. He was always in the backfield against Baltimore. That line wasn't exactly full 100%, but he was literally making his presence felt all day, and it was only one sack registered, but literally it should have been about 4 or 5. They got actually some holding calls that game, which was surprising. So if he gets more attention, he could either break it, or you could see Bruce Irvin continue this silent, solid season he's had so far with 2 sacks and 2 forced fumbles to start the year. So we'll see if they could keep up their big impact versus this game. Did you want to go first with your prediction, Sumanth?
Sure, I'll go for it. And like I said, I have no confidence. The Chargers have to really re-earn my confidence in saying that they're going to win the game. I said last week that if they don't win the game, then they have to earn that back. And that's what I'm going to say. Oakland's the better team, I think, overall, and I think they'll win the game. I'm going to say, why not, 24-17, Oakland.
What a defeated fan.
Yeah,
You should have seen our
depressing.
subreddit. Our subreddit was literally on fire for the third time in 4 weeks.
What was your score again?
I saw.
Sorry.
35-34.
Okay.
Oh no, my score for this week was 24-17. That was last week's score. Never mind.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry about that.
You're good.
Oh yeah, I saw the words "I want to die" on that subreddit at least 5 times in the post game thread.
Yeah.
It was kind of sad. For my prediction this game, I say the Raiders finally get that blowout win. I'm gonna go 42-10.
Jeez.
Hope this is wishful thinking. I don't know. I don't know if they can put the foot on somebody's neck. We'll see. The first game last year they had the chance to, and then they kind of let up. So we'll.
They
see
kind of
how
just
that
stopped
ends
in the
up.
fourth quarter.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Well, Derek Carr has been very good so far this season, but Tyler, I think it's time. You got Barrett, you got Hayward, and you got Flowers back there. I think we see the other Derek Carr.
Derek Carr.
Man, Cooper's
Derek
still
Carr.
healthy. I told you.
Derek
The
Carr.
other Carr doesn't come out until Cooper gets hurt.
I think we see the other Derek Carr. I think Phillip Rivers goes absolutely bananas against your defense, and I think the Chargers win 28-14.
Okay.
Ooh, that's
Oh
close
my
to
God.
I will
mine.
take that.
Okay.
You're giving us a 14-point loss at home. Oh my God.
I'll take it.
I'll be a little nicer, I guess. I was gonna say 28-21 Chargers. Derek
Yay.
Carr. Derek Carr.
I can't wait now. I can't wait for this game all of a sudden. My spirits have been raised, guys. Thank you.
He will show himself eventually.
Never.
I'm hoping it's this game. He will return to his true form.
His true form is a god.
An
I just
eyeliner
had
will no
told you
longer be
before.
on sale.
I've told you before, Sumanth. I hate you guys the least. So,
I feel like that's everybody in this
Yeah.
season. I mean, like,
well,
you guys all hate the Raiders the most. We hate the Broncos the
you
most.
just feel bad
It's kinda-
hating the Chargers. Like, what did they do?
I didn't feel bad for a while there. I live in San Diego, so when they were actually, winning pretty well, it was kind of annoying because we were losing pretty badly.
I remember those days.
Well,
Such fond memories.
Of like 10 years ago when I was like freaking in middle school or some crap.
It was middle school.
Jeez. I'm so old now. I can't even take it anymore.
Phillip Rivers is just so likable.
He's so
I
likable.
don't know about that.
He's such a goofball.
Well, I love him. I love him. His competitive spirit's amazing.
Yep. All right. Well, just to remind everybody, Chiefs are on bye, so I think we lose to our practice squad 25-10. No, just kidding. Clean it up, offense.
Don't you mean the Globetrotters?
No, we would get completely blown out by the Globetrotters. We wouldn't stand a chance. But anyway, let's roll in. We're 25% of the way done with the season, so just real quick, where do you guys think you guys are going to finish? I'll start off. I think week 6 for us is going to be very telling. Of course, that's against the Raiders. If we come out and we look good, I think this team can still go 10-6. But if we come out and look flat, I would not be surprised with a 6-10 or a 7-9 finish for us. This team, what I've seen the first 4 weeks, looks dangerously close to the wheels falling off. But I think the more likely scenario is that Andy Reid and this coaching staff get it together during this bye week, and we sort of finish strong against the second half of our schedule, which is pretty soft. So I think we're going to go 10-6 and get a wild card. Chris, how about your Broncos?
Well, I said the last time we did this, I said 12-4, and I'm going to change that to 15-1 because I think we
Who's
could
the one?
definitely
Who's
go
the one?
undefeated.
Loss.
Okay, yeah. Well, I don't really know. I know that we gotta lose at some point, right? I mean,
It's going to be the Saints.
maybe. Well, I was thinking maybe San Diego would do it, just because that would be crazy, and you never know.
I'll take it. I don't care. I will absolutely take that.
All right.
All right.
Yeah. Well, do you have any predictions for the other teams, Prather? Or are we just gonna do our own?
Yeah, we can do the other teams. I think 12-4 for the Broncos seems fair. Some of their wins have been a little shenanigan-y, but overall, that defense is strong enough to carry them. I think their luck is gonna, turn the other way on some of those games, but I think they're still the team to beat in this division. So 12-4. Raiders. I think the other Derek Carr is gonna come back in full force, but I think you guys finished 9-7, and I think the Chargers. have some ups and downs, and finish 6-10.
Okay.
That's where I'm at.
All right. Well, I'll finish mine off real quick. I think the Chargers will probably repeat last year with a 4-12. Maybe a little better. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know yet. You guys are an enigma to me. Anyway, Chiefs. I think you'll finish 9-7, and you'll sadly just miss the playoffs, the wild card spot. And I think Andy Reid will gain 20 pounds in the offseason and probably have a heart attack next year.
He's lost some
lose
weight,
weight.
and honestly, he's not as fun now. So I hope he gains it back.
Is it the Rex Ryan treatment?
I think-
Is it losing weight makes you less successful?
Yeah, come on, enjoy our fabulous barbecue.
All right, I'm going to change that to a 30-pound gain, and he'll have a heart attack next year when they lose in the playoffs to the Broncos. And then the Broncos will go on to three-peat
Jesus.
Super Bowl.
Kill me.
All right, again a little homerist there. Okay, I'll dial back. Okay, Raiders 10-6. I think you guys will make the wild card. And
Sounds about
you'll make
right.
it to the playoffs. There, you hear that? I was being nice.
I know, that was shocking.
But then once you get to the playoffs, I think you're going to lose to the Texans.
Hey, no, that does not happen. That never happens.
You'll be humiliated. Derek Carr will fracture his pelvis and three vertebrae, trying to carry his
Hey,
team.
let's hold on. JJ Watt's not playing. Remember this.
Yeah, no,
Well,
it's
I know.
Jadeveon Clowney, who's
Oh, I know.
honestly
Yeah, it's Clowny Town in Houston.
not exactly scary to me at this point.
I think it's just going to be all the hits that he's going to take when he's trying to carry the team. And at the end of the game, there will be a dramatic shot of Al Davis with a stone face, like Faramir's father in Lord of the Rings. And he sends Faramir to certain death, with the cavalry. And I think he'll be like eating some rotten cherry tomatoes, and they'll be like bursting over his face, and there'll be some dramatic like song in the background. And then later on, you'll see there will be a YouTube video of Al Davis falling off the stadium on fire.
Okay, you know what?
Okay, sorry.
I'm already
I'm
making.
sorry.
I'm already making our game bet. For when we play, I want you to draw that.
Oh my god.
All right, who's up next?
Tyler goes next, I think. Yeah, in this order.
All right. I'll start with the Raiders. Honestly, this game, if we beat the Chiefs and we beat the Chargers, actually, if we beat the Chargers and we beat the Chiefs, I'm thinking 10-6, 11-5 sounds about right. We're pretty much a upper middle pack team, and we're winning some that we honestly could go either way. So that's why I'm going with the higher winning record. Broncos, I'm saying 13-3. Just slightly over 12-4, just because I feel like that defense is literally just gonna keep carrying them the games. They may lose some where the offense is just too good, like I'm thinking with this Falcons game. But 13-3 kind of seems right, unless something major happens. Chiefs, I'm thinking 8. You guys kind of ruined my preseason. What's it called? Rankings, just because you guys just kind of dive there. What happened?
Well, every team has a bad game throughout the season. So I'm willing to give the defense a pass, but the offense, it's starting to look like a trend, and it has me worried. So
Yeah.
I could see 8-8.
8-8 sounds about right. If you guys beat us in Oakland, I would say more of the 9-7, 10-6 range. Chargers, I'm thinking they stick with the 4-12 unless they prove something else. I don't think this team is really coming back to life this season. Seems like the coaching staff is kind of checked out. McCoy kind of seems like he's done. He's angry. He's done. He's kind of sick of it. Rivers kind of seems like he's depressed, like he kind of wants to jump off the Coronado Bridge at the moment.
Oh my god.
The fans are kind of checked out. Honestly, that looked like a Saints home game this past week. So I'm not really seeing them getting many more wins. So 4-12, it could be even worse than that.
Okay.
Hopefully it's better. I don't like to see a team kind of get trashed like that.
Okay. I guess I'll start with that then. I mean, for San Diego, it's going to be a tale of two teams. It's going to be a tale of, if they can figure this out sooner rather than later, then they can go on the higher end of the spectrum that I still have. They theoretically, let's assume they win out. They theoretically can still go 13-3. That is a mathematical, although improbable possibility. But at this stage in the game, I'm gonna go. Who said 6-10? I think it was Prather, correct?
Yep. Yeah. It was
Yeah, I'm gonna go 6-10, maybe at the most 7-9. But 6-10 is, give or take a win, is probably my prediction for San Diego. This team I still don't think is as bad as the record indicates. We played like a 6-10 team last year, and based on funky math, we only won 4 games out of that. So I think it's going to be similar to that. I think we play better than our record shows. Obviously we do, but we're just not going to put that together. So I think it'll be a little bit better than last year, but I'm not confident in saying that we'll go 8-8 or make a playoff spot at this stage in the game. Let's go around the league. For the Raiders, I'm going to go say right now 9-7, could be 10-6. I just, like you said, Tyler, I need to see them, perform a little bit better, in the game as a whole. They've made
they need to destroy a team.
They need to need to systematically win a game. They have been, as you said, the antithesis of the Chargers. They have been the comeback win instead of the comeback losers. They can't do that all the time and expect them to win every game they play. So I'm going to call it, around an even split, 9-7, maybe 10-6. We'll see how the next few games go, and then that'll change based on that. The Chiefs, I'm also thinking they're going to go 9-7. That game against Pittsburgh was not convincing anybody, I don't think, about the offense's capability. Really, what I saw in week 1 against when we played you guys was, we had to basically collapse for that offense to get back into the game. So
if you guys decided to cover Spencer Ware out of the backfield,
yes,
we would have lost.
If we did anything else, I think, differently that game, in half particularly, we would have won the game. So really, you can't rely on luck like that. Similar to the Raiders, you can't rely on luck to win games, and that's why I'm going to go say 9-7. I think both of you guys, it's going to, I think, go on tiebreakers, but I think both teams missed the playoffs. Denver is, again, the team to beat. I'm saying 12-4. That offense doesn't need to do a whole lot. Defense can carry, Denver the whole way through.
Woohoo!
And they truly are, honestly, even without a great offense or a great, quarterback or a great whatever, one of the best teams in the NFL right now. Basically, I think it's Denver, Minnesota, and maybe if they play a little bit better, Philadelphia, or if they prove to me that they can play consistently, Philadelphia. That's the bet.
What about the Patriots?
The Patriots just lost to the Bills. They got shut out in New England to the Bills.
Oh,
now they're on the outside looking in.
They had their injured third.
Yeah,
nobody cares. They've been winning without Brady or freaking Garoppolo anyway. If you're gonna give them the praise when they win without him, you got to give them the dog crap when they lose without him.
Yeah. Well, that was the best 3 teams in the NFL, not just the AFC. I still think the Patriots are top 2 in the AFC, right alongside the Broncos. So, that's going to be really the matchups to look for, or the teams to look at right now going into the playoffs if we want to look that far ahead. Steelers, yeah, that too.
I wouldn't be surprised if we send 3 teams to the playoffs, because if you look around the rest of the AFC, the wild card, the 2 wild card teams aren't going to come from the AFC South.
Right.
They're not going to come from the AFC East, probably.
The Jets are collapsing right now.
We're competing with, and the Bills are, injured all over the place. And so we're really competing with the Bengals, who have looked flat, and the Ravens, who I don't trust because they haven't played anybody, or they haven't beaten anybody.
Right.
You guys,
Can
you
I
guys
just say
beat
something?
Go for it.
I feel bad for predicting that Andy Reid would have a heart attack.
now the regret sets in.
We didn't take you seriously there. It was just.
I want to take that part back.
Can we have that strict record, please?
You can leave in the part about Al Davis burning and falling off the stadium.
No, I'm not editing it out. You're gonna look.
That'll be on your conscience for the rest of your life. If he has a heart attack, I want you to know it was your fault.
Al Davis or Andy Reid? Oh God.
Oh my God, man.
Oh.
All right. Well, anybody got anything
Quick
else?
fantasy update. I think I beat you this week in our fantasy league, and I think Tyler beat Chris this week. Yeah,
I did decisively because the C-Man went out, and Crabtree put up 30 points.
I barely beat.
That's right.
Yeah, I barely beat Prather, and 2 of my scored no points. So I hope that tells you something.
Well, it helps when most of my players are on the Chiefs, and they went out and pooped their pants and did nothing.
Hey,
So.
Travis Kelce gave me those garbage time points. So.
Hey,
He did get the most garbage time of all touchdowns.
At least you guys had quarterbacks. Mine kind of,
Died.
fell down.
Yeah.
And got a
6
boo-boo.
points. Yeah, that was
That's not good.
scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's gonna wrap it up for this week. Join us again next week where we go over our second divisional game of the year. It should be a lot of fun, and we'll talk about a bunch of other stuff too. So, see us next week.